The Opium aesthetic has become one of the most popular aesthetics over the past 3 years, with popular streamers, NBA players, and other rappers incorporating it into their styles in one way or another. Founded by Playboy Carti and Opium Baby, the aesthetic has taken over social media through their music, tours, and merch. Because of Opium's high fashion style, people have been enticed to replicate it. But how did Opium get to this point? And why exactly is Opium so popular? To really understand the story, we have to go all the way back to 2019. Many fans often pinpoint the exact date of the Opium label starting to the November 2 post, when Carti said Opium Heart. And if you notice Carti's outfit, it's draped in all black chrome hearts. This was the precursor of the direction of what the label was gonna be. High fashion, all black, everything. Now, some people would start calling Carti an emo or a goth vampire. People often call Carti and Opium goth because of their occultish imagery and dark elements. It also helps that they often incorporate a gothic sense of fashion into their styles. But there's so much more to goth culture that many fans don't know about. There's many variations of goth with gothic literature, architecture, but most importantly, gothic music. The subculture originated in the 80s post-punk scene, with bands like Sushi and the Banshees, Joy Division, and Bauhaus being the main figures spearheading the development of the subculture. And I want you to watch this video filmed in 1989 in Dublin, Ireland.
Call yourselves
Gothic.
You consider yourself a goth?
No, I suppose other people would, but I don't. Like, we just go for the more kind of vampire sides of things.
But a video from Mommy Hades would state that just because you wore goth clothing, that didn't mean you were goth. Being goth means you were a fan of both goth music and goth culture. And that's what separates Opium from goth. But the elements of darkness, not caring what other people think of what you wear, is the most relatable aspect that goth has with the Opium aesthetic. Gothic architecture is also very prevalent in Opium's imagery, the most notable one being the Duomo Cathedral, which fans love to call Opium headquarters. Fans often take pictures in front of Gothic churches and buildings with all black outfits, and it's present in Opium's lyrics.
I'm the motherfucking dark lord, but no, I'm not gothic. Rico is drip like I'm gothic. Damn, I just hit a gothic.
Brands that Opium wear also heavily incorporate Gothic elements. Rick Owens, Raph Simmons, and Yohji Yamamoto all have incorporated Gothic elements into their runway shows. But as Opium Baby describes,
this is a hot topic type of evil. It's like Eastern European.
Mainly because of the vampire persona introduced in Whole Lotta Red. Vampires became popular because of the Count Dracula, inspired by the Romanian voivode, Vlad the Impaler. Growing up, you might recognize vampires as evil, those who suck on the living essence of humans. And Carti loved that, and went with that direction in the entirety of Whole Lotta Red's rollouts, creating songs like King Vamp and Vamp Anthem. One of Carti's most well-known nicknames is King Vamp, which was even the name for his tour in 2021 and 2022. In those shows, Carti had a variety of acts alongside him. But who are these people exactly? The first show that Carti ever performed after the formation of the Opium label was in Cyberworld 2020. If you remember this year, it was filled with the wait for Whole Lotta Red. And when the album did come out, people didn't really like it. I remember having to defend Whole Lotta Red from hour 1 to hour 24. But there was something that fans loved to say, and that Whole Lotta Red would be perfect if it was played live. If you notice these two people in the back and you're an Opium fan, you probably know who they are. But if you don't, let me educate you. That man with the spiked hair is Burberry Airy. Airy is one of the most important figures in the Opium label.
So I'm like signed to Opium as a creative consultant, stylist, and a model.
And you might know him as the person Carti was with in the Donda Experience. When you first see Airy, he might seem indifferent, dark, and demonic even. Mainly because of his fashion, aesthetic, and clothing choices. But he's so much more than what people think of him. I'd go as far as saying that he's one of the most down-to-earth Opium members.
Little did I know that every single decision and just everything I did was worth it.
Airy is Opium's official skater who used to have clothes and shoes given to him by Virgil, and he'd constantly destroy them because he was skating. But it was skating that got him to where he is today, because he was himself. Airy actually predicted meeting Carti.
One day, I literally was like, I don't know why, but I feel like Carti's gonna message me. He messaged me the next day, and he just said hi.
Carti brought Airy with him in the Cyberworld show, being the first time that Airy ever met Carti, and the rest was history. They've curated a style that we know and love Opium for today, filled with a mix of high fashion and streetwear. The other person that was in the Cyberworld show was Mitch Modes. Mitch actually first met Cardi in the show too.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, bro, when's the show? He's like, it's tomorrow. I can catch a flight out there. Did the show, become my brother since then, for real. He was just raised on the importance of family. He knows how to take care of his family. He knows how to lead his family.
And as the person next to Mitch says,
nothing bigger than that, oh man.
Nah, bro.
That man is Phoenix Guerrero, or Joy Division.
I just trust his vision, and I think he trusts my vision. And that's what it all comes down to, really.
Joy has done a lot for Opium. From filming to styling, it knows no bounds. If you remember a Whole Lotta Red, there were a lot of snippets that was previewed by Joy. The most notable one being...
Looks good?
Yeah,
Got this shirt today.
The story of how he met Cardi is actually funny, as he DM'd him saying he was better than Lil Uzi, starting a relationship that saw him in the rollout of 2 of his biggest projects. But he actually doesn't have an official role within the Opium label.
I don't have like a job title to begin with, so even if I was signed, what would I be signed for? You know what I'm saying?
But before you get the idea that Joy isn't Opium, look at his chain and look at his tattoos. Opium would not exist without Joy, as most of the people in Opium were in contact with Phoenix before they were even in contact with Cardi. Most importantly, he filmed a Dear O video for Cardi, documenting the memories that Cardi's son Onyx will look back on in the future. You might be wondering though, who actually founded the label? Sure, Cardi did, but there was another guy that he founded it with, often curating the songs, music videos, and dates for when Opium's projects were coming out. Opium Baby, or Jalen Tucker, has known Cardi for a long time. Ever since Cardi was kicking it with Ian Connor. Now, one of the biggest things that Jay has done for Cardi was scouting talent. And if you had to guess who that talent was, it's one of Opium's most popular and darkest artists, Destroy Lonely.
Right after Red dropped, I met bro.
And like I know when he gets into an actual studio, it's so.
Jay does a bunch of creative work for Opium too, directing the MDMA music video. And the other person in that video is what fans consider the first Opium member ever. He's probably the most popular Opium member if you're not counting Cardi. Lil Vamp, X-Man.
I'm Ken Carson.
The story of how Ken met Cardi goes all the way back to 2016. Ken was already deep in contact with 808 Mafia, and they had Cardi in their studio sessions, prompting Ken to meet Cardi there. But they met again officially in Los Angeles when Cardi did a show and Ken got kicked out of that show because
I had got kicked out this show because I had got the fame.
Prompting them to start a relationship that would change the culture of the 2020s. Ken had a post all the way back in 2019 saying that Whole Lotta Red had to come out first instead of his mixtape, Boy Barbie. But the Opium label wasn't officially formed yet. And if you were around during this time, there was one guy in the UK who had a similar vibe to Cardi. He even has songs with Ken, Lancey Foe, who fans thought was gonna be the next Opium member aside from Ken. And I don't think anyone's against it.
I'm popping several tags, I don't leave shopping no yellow bag. Living in Westwood, checkered bag, good.
Unfortunately though, Lancey never signed to Opium, though he'd collaborate with Opium's producers and hang out with different Opium members. There's a video of him and Cardi together and an unreleased track called Opie Psy. Though all this wouldn't be possible without the guys behind the music, Opium's producers. The most well-known producer that fans know Opium for is someone you know very well.
Wake up, Filthy.
Filthy's a part of a collective called Working on Dying, alongside different acts like Bendy X and Oogie Mane. You might know Filthy for his work on what my opinion is the best album of all time, Whole Lotta Red. Producing songs like Rockstar Made, New Tank, and Stop Breathing. Opium wouldn't be where it is today without Filthy, and his beats alone changes the way that you feel. Filthy has worked with all official Opium artists, with the most popular non-Whole Lotta Red track being Freestyle 2. Freestyle 2 is one of Ken's most popular songs, but Filthy isn't Ken's main producer. Ken's main producers are from Holland, who some fans would call the Dutch duo, encompassed by Out of Town and Starboy. The Dutch duo is known for making out-of-this-world beats, producing classics like Fighting My Demons, Me My Cup, and Hardcore. But the first time we've ever heard them on an Opium song was on Yale, and the beats just sounded new and unique. Fans often called it hyper trap. They even produced a few songs on Whole Lotta Red and have songs with Destroy Lonely. The Dutch duo are going to produce a variety of songs for more chaos. But if you thought all they were doing was produce, Starboy actually has music. And it sounds insane. But the producer story wouldn't be complete without Lone's most frequent producer, curating the sound that Lone's most known for today.
Clayco, like.
Oh, okay, but so y'all making beats together and stuff.
You know what I'm saying? I'm the reason, like, not the reason, because Clayco is the mastermind.
Clayco's produced most of Lone's biggest songs. If Looks Could Kill, Hold My Hand, and Safety are all songs produced by Clayco. His beats are ethereal and just makes you feel like you want to float. Clayco's meant to produce most of the songs for Lone's next project, Love Lasts Forever. Lone wouldn't be where he is today without Clayco, and most of Opium wouldn't be where they are without their producers. Another group that's known for having really good beats mixed with electric guitar infused instrumentals is a group that you might have thought I'd forgotten, the final members of Opium. If you didn't know, Bino actually used to be Ken Carson's former manager. Bino was also present in the Whole Lotta Red release party. The way Homicide Gang met Cardi was through Problem Child.
He was friends with Problem Child, he's a rapper. And they know each other. Problem Child. For sure. They met at the studio. They came in like that. Studio.
Cardi and Bino were in the studio every day, and when Bino sent Cardi their song SSN, Cardi loved it, signing them immediately, going as far as saying they were superstars. But there's a bunch of differences between all the Opium members.
Put him in a cuff. Put him in a cuff.
If you look at the style choices that Ken, Lone, Cardi, and Homicide have, they're all pretty similar, rocking just about the same brands. But if you look closer, they all have an affinity for different pieces. We'll start by looking at Ken Carson. A Great Chaos was the most popular Opium project to come out last year, and fans would argue, if you're not including Whole Lotta Red, it's the most popular Opium project ever. And a defining feature of that project was the Rick Owens GIMP sets. Now, this isn't new to Opium, as Lone first previewed it on the song Vetmont Coat, and they used to wear it a lot. But Ken took it to a different level, putting the GIMP holes on just about anything, from his ex-girlfriend's face to Ed, and Eddie, and even transforming that into text, which fans love to copy. And the video that kickstarted all of this was Freestyle 2, which Lone calls
Shit, I love my boy Freestyle too.
dictating the aesthetic that Ken's gonna take for the rollout of his magnum opus. You might also notice that the video looks grainy and old, and that's for a reason. Ken's recent music videos and rollout pictures on his A Great Chaos account show a setting that fans often call controversial because it had 2000s websites that will get this video demonetized, posting a bunch of horror-filled content, which was met with both good and bad reactions. The bad reactions had people not liking the style, calling it weird and disgusting. Others really liked it and posted edits in the 2000s like style. The hardest one in my opinion was on the song Hardcore. Ken just released his project A Great Chaos Deluxe, with fans constantly looking for Ken's Opium twin, Destroy Lonely, on the project. There have been rumors linked to More Chaos being a separate project from the Deluxe, with fans expecting songs like 00 Dark Side with Destroy Lonely. And speaking of Lone, Lone has a more fashion-forward and runway-esque energy to his music. His two biggest albums and songs are literally called No Stylist and If Looks Could Kill, which talk about Lone's lifestyle.
My whole life I wanted to fly across the globe, Europe, whatever, to do fashion shows and perform or whatever the fuck, and I'm doing that shit right now. I think that's some of the realest shit I've ever said.
What you might not know is Lone's actually a model. He's modeled for 1017 Elite's 9SM show in Milan, and had a few shoots with the brand Brotherly Love. Most importantly, Lone has a line in 2020 that has defined the Opium aesthetic. But Lone's music isn't all about fashion. It's about money and emotions.
It's just real. So I feel like everybody needs somebody to say something that's real in the music they listen to.
Lone has songs like Hold My Hand, Suicide Mission, and Safety. These are all songs that you can listen to when you're just alone and thinking.
I salute everyone who made the sad music, because it's like you walked up to the mic and you just like poured your heart out. Like,
there's also the film aspect in Lone's videos and imagery. For the rollout for If Looks Could Kill, Lone had a short film called Look Killer, which saw him both act and executively produced most of the aspects behind the film. Lone's music videos also have that movie-like feel to them, often following a little plot. The How You Feel music video is a perfect description for this. All black fits, models, a gothic house, and good music. Lone also loves to explore different genres for his songs, diving into alternative rock and grunge. There's a song called Missing that follows an instrumental reminiscent of goth music that actually samples Christine by Sushi and the Banshees.
Yeah, it took a long time. I guess I needed distance.
But if you thought music and fashion was it, Lone's also known for having a lot of East Asian imagery in his posts and accounts. Some of Lone's profile pictures and uploads have East Asian girls in them, with fans even calling them Destroy Lonely Women. Don't do that. Though Lone and Ken wouldn't be in the position they're in today without this one person that made everything possible.
Whoa, I'm about to glaze right now type shit.
King Vamp. Cardi's aesthetic in 2019 was what kickstarted everything for Opium, when Cardi switched up to wearing full Rick Owens. Cardi wasn't the first person to wear Ricks, but he was the one to put it on the map on an insane level, getting a whole new generation to wear Ramones. As the years started passing, Cardi wasn't just stuck on Rick Owens. Though he was already wearing Balenciaga before, he started wearing the crazy pieces that Demna would make in 2021 and 2022, which got the Opium team and fans to follow suit. One of the most popular pieces was Cardi's Balenciaga Sporty B Shrunk t-shirt, which he often wore during 2022. Cardi's one of the main reasons why the Opium team follows a certain dress code. Fans would even comment when someone on the team wears something different than black. But Cardi would violate it too, opting for an entirely new style in 2023, featuring an all-white aesthetic, introducing a whole new brand to Opium, Hood by Air, where Cardi started getting back into a lot more streetwear styles, introducing a whole new aspect to Opium. Cardi's known for making things popular. Hood by Air experienced a revival when Cardi started wearing it. Rick got a lot more popular, and people who never wore Balenci's are draped head to toe in them today. And this is all done because of Whole Lotta Red, getting everyone who listened to it to go absolutely insane. When the album dropped, we were in the 2020 situation, not being able to watch any of our favorite artists. But when everything opened up, the world was introduced to the O. This happened in Lollapalooza. Something funny about the show is that Miley Cyrus had a set right after this, so Miley fans had to experience what it felt like to be in a Cardi concert, which leads us to the next part of the video, Opium shows. Opium shows have been defined with the performances of King Vamp. This all culminated into a main tour in 2021, called the Narcissist Tour. The most notable performances that Cardi had were on the songs Rockstar Made and Stop Breathing. That instrumental in the background, that's an electric guitar played by Oji of Oji Volta. An Opium show wouldn't be complete without Oji bringing that rockstar energy, and the crowds prove that. Oji has made Cardi look like a modern day rock star, bringing a different level of insanity to Cardi's hype-filled shows. And as Burberry Airy describes it,
his show is like you're entering hell. That's how I like to see it. Like you're entering hell when you're fucking there, bro. Like
Cardi's theme for the Narcissist Tour was an upside down cross, flames, and an undefeated energy to match it. People often call Cardi the best performer alive because of it, and in my opinion, he is. These shows also had Ken and Lone open up for him, giving the world a taste of what their performances might be in the future. There was actually a moment when Lone performed and Ken was alongside him to support him. This would be a recurring theme in the future, just like how Uzi was always there to support Cardi back in the day. The two would have their own tours in 2022, with Ken having the X-Man tour and Lone opening up for Ken. Lone then went on to have his No Stylist tour, which Homicide Gang then opened up for. Now you might think I've forgotten something, and I did. One of the most iconic shows that Cardi's ever performed in was the Donda 2 show, and he performed it alongside Burberry Airy. Another insane show was in Rolling Loud New York 2022, when Cardi brought out Kanye West to perform with him. This was also the day after he got apprehended. On a good note though, he got out. Though the best performance Cardi had, as some fans would point out, was his performance in Rolling Loud Los Angeles 2023. But what you might not know is that Cardi ran late to that show. Fans didn't know if Cardi was actually going to perform, but when he did, fans were shocked to see Cardi perform an entirely new song from Music. This was the song Rockstar, produced by Filthy. Apparently, Cardi recorded that song only a few hours before the performance, and fans were ecstatic, moshing to it. The show opened up with Airy and another guy come out to the song, Black Hane. The show went on with furious energy, fans happy to see Cardi perform again after a minute. But the organizers wanted to stop the show twice. The first time the organizers tried, it almost worked. Cardi was gone for a bit and fans didn't know if he was coming back. But when he did come back, he dropped an iconic line saying,
They stopped the fucking music!
After a few more songs, the organizers at Rolling Loud told Cardi to stop, and Cardi apologized.
The thing is about you guys' safety, and I'm sorry, and I love you guys so much, but I have to leave.
But fans wanted one more song, screaming and asking for it. This was followed with Oji playing the guitar again, a song that we haven't heard in years, Location. The show ended in fireworks, with some fans reportedly tearing up watching the performance. Afterwards, a few more notable performances littered the year. Ken shows were playing a Great Chaos before it was even released, and the Opium twins were performing at Pattaya, Thailand. But another one that fans love to point out is game-changing, was Cardi's Rolling Loud Miami performance, playing a new song and debuting the new Opium logo. And this is all because of the direction that Cardi's new team member and creative director, Sex is Death, is curating. Sex is Death, or Rosemarie Johansson, is one of Opium's creative directors, responsible for photo shoots, rollouts, and the entirely new aesthetic that Cardi has today. Many credit Sex is Death for introducing Cardi to the black metal aesthetic. She'd also introduced Cardi to new forms of fashion, which we'll cover later in the video. Now, the rollout of Cardi's next tour, Antagonist, had shows spanning from Denver, Colorado to London, and its promotional material was reminiscent of Drain Gangs and had eyes that were inspired by the movie Long, which was possibly curated by Black Hane. Everyone in Opium was supposed to show up in the tour. Fans paid thousands of dollars in tickets, flights, and accommodations just to see King Vamp and the rest of Opium. Unfortunately, the tour never came. All the dates for the Antagonist tour was postponed, getting ready for Cardi's album instead. Cardi performed in various shows, which weren't the Antagonist tour. There was a show on Cardi's birthday where unreleased music was played.
I go crazy every time,
And he also performed in the Vultures Experience, doing Carnival and Hood by Air. Cardi's supposedly going to perform more shows in the summer. As for the rest of Opium, they've also been pretty active. Filthy DJs from time to time, playing unreleased music, and Lone does shows too. Homicide Gang even did a show all the way in China. Ken was part of the Red Hot Chili Peppers tour, getting fans from both the old generation and the new generation to listen to his music. And he performed in Coachella, doing something similar to Cardi in Lollapalooza.
You scared? You should have stayed or fuck home.
The most recent show that everyone's been in was in Summer Smash. The performance saw Opium get on stage alongside Cardi, and had Cardi doing unreleased music. And the energy behind his performance was crazy. There was also a moment where he performed Hood by Air, and the entire Opium team was getting turned with him, and the show wouldn't be complete without DJ Swamp Izzo. Something that you might notice in all of these shows is that Opium has really nice clothes on. Clothing's one of the most important things for Opium's image, which leads us to the next part of this video, Opium's clothing.
This not a rockstar face. I'm an emo, thug in my face. 0, 0, 0, 0. Tell her to go chase.
Opium's known for having insane merch that fans would often call generational. Though Opium wasn't made yet during this time period, the merch that showed the earliest sign of the Opium aesthetic was during the Neon tour. It had pentagrams and that punk-like feel that we know and love Cardi for today. Some fans would even say that this was his best merch to date, But the one that got fans really into Opium at the start was the actual Whole Lotta Red merch, which fans called satanic because of its anti-establishment imagery. And other Opium members have come out with their own merch. Ken dropped the Teen X merch, and he even had a pop-up shop in Los Angeles. The Teen X merch was worn in the Sky music video. The merch that did make waves though was the unreleased Narcissist merch, which had themes reminiscent of Vêtements with its racing-like feel and bomber jackets. However, the merch never came as the website was hacked and the reference folder was posted, and fans never got the merch. Instead, we'd see various Opium members wearing the merch. The hat looks amazing too, but the public's never gotten it, aside from people who are in contact with Opium affiliates. The merch that did come out though was the Narcissist / King Vamp tour merch, which had shirts and hoodies printed with a font. But the official merch that did come out was Destroy Lonely's 1017 Elix 9SM merch. But if you thought that was it, Lone and Ken dropped their own merch. Finally, Cardi dropped his own line again, and Narcissist actually came out, featuring a death metal-like font. It had caps, shirts, and hoodies. There was also another side of the merch that had mugshots in it, but that's not as popular as people did not like the merch. Afterwards, we'd get clothing from Ken and Lone, the If Looks Could Kill, and a Great Chaos merch. The merch looked simple, but it looked hard. Cardi also has several unreleased music merch, and when they do come out, it's gonna look tough. But aside from their own brands, Opium often wears different brands, and they often have a reoccurring feel to them.
Tell me what it takes for me. Predator take. We not saying game work. Alright, baby, work.
The main brands that Opium is known for wearing the most are Vêtements, Balenciaga, Hood by Air, and most importantly, Rick Owens. We'll first start with the brand Vêtements. The translation for Vêtements is literally clothes, just clothes. The creative director for the brand is Vasalia, whose brother is the creative director of Balenciaga, Demna. Their clothing is absolutely tough. Lone even has a song called Vêtements Co, and the two girls in the MDMA music video are both wearing Vêtements racing jackets. Cardi's actually been wearing the brand for a minute, wearing the Target hoodie, but as time passed on, he started wearing edgier and more avant-garde pieces from them.
He was wearing a big-ass parka Vêtements jacket. It's actually...
Was it the one when he had the devil horns?
Yes!
Something that you might not know about Vêtements is that Demna actually made Vêtements alongside Vasalia. Many fans say that Vêtements is one of the best clothing brands, and Demna is the greatest designer ever.
Demna is the greatest designer ever.
But Demna eventually left Vêtements for a bigger task.
You know what I mean? It's Gildan. Psych! It's fucking Balenciaga, my brother. It's not Gildan, I'll tell you that much.
When Demna became the creative director, edgier and darker elements came into Balenciaga. Demna changed Balenciaga entirely, and in my opinion, the clothes that he makes today are amazing. And Balenciaga's become a staple with people trying new things for fashion. The most notable pieces that Balenciaga has for Opium fans are the Balenciaga Raver jeans, the Shrunken t-shirt, and Balenciaga strike boots or the Balenciaga Defenders, which are all things that Cardi and Opium wear. One criticism that people often have against Demna is that the clothes look like they're made for homeless people. But in my opinion, the clothes look tough. A good amount of Opium songs reference Balenciaga in some sort of way too. Ken and Me and My Cup, Lone and If Looks Could Kill, Homicide Gang also makes references to the brand, and most importantly, King Vamp in the unreleased song, Rockstar. Balenciaga has been taking over Opium fashion in the past few years, but a brand that's been taking over Opium fashion recently is Hood by Air. Founded by Shane Oliver and Raul Lopez, Hood by Air is the most recent brand that's been taking over Opium's fashion, with Cardi having one of the hardest songs of the same name. In that video, Cardi's seen sporting runway all-white Hood by Air. But what you might not know is that Cardi's been rocking this brand for a while. Hood by Air also made another appearance in the song Evil Jordan, with Cardi rocking the Spring/Summer 14 69 long sleeve shirt. What's crazy is Hood by Air's made a significant comeback when Cardi started wearing the brand. Back then, people like A$AP Rocky and Kanye West wore it. However, the brand had a hiatus in 2017 to 2020, with Shane Oliver working on different projects. The brand was low-key. People wore it, but it wasn't known as much as it is today, until the Cardi effect happened. They started buying the brand more and more. leading to the massive comeback that Hood by Air is making today. But one brand that would always be synonymous with Opium is a brand that you and I know very well. Personally, it's my favorite brand of all time, Rick Owens. Cardi started wearing Rick a long time ago, rocking it all the way back in the mid-2010s.
I like number 9 and like Rick Owens right now. I don't know, I like the dark clothing.
Opium Baby's also been rocking the brand for a long time, before it was even popular. Rick's known for making avant-garde, dark, and edgy clothing that the average consumer might look at and say, it's weird. But that's the point of Rick. It aims to stray away from the norm by making something that you've never seen before. Opium members consistently wear Rick Owens.
If I had to go number 1, I'd say Rick Owens, just on some essential shit. We wear Rick every day. We got Rick on right now.
The things that fans often wear from Rick are the Rick Owens Bolins, Rick Owens Gimp, and most importantly, Rick Owens Ramones. And their songs wouldn't be complete without a reference to Rick Owens.
I done spit that nigga whole Rick Owens, yeah. Rick Owens all over my, Rick Owens all over me.
Opium's most iconic fits also have Rick Owens in them. Cardi's flicks in 2019 to 2020 were in full Rick Owens. The fit in Rolling Loud LA was a mix between the Rick Owens bowling jeans and the Balenciaga steroid boots. One thing that Opium loves doing is mixing the brands up with one another. And it helps that Balenciaga often goes well with Rick Owens. Which leads us to the next part of the video, which is Opium's influence on fashion. Opium's inspired a whole generation to wear these brands. Fans would often drop fit pics wearing Rick Owens, Vêtements, and Balenciaga. People on TikTok have also dedicated their entire page to following Opium. This has led a variety of fashion brands to pop up. Vietnam's Cozy Worldwide makes a vast amount of clothing inspired by the Opium aesthetic, and their pieces prove that. However, a fashion brand today that was first influenced by Opium, but then transitioned in their own style, becoming one of the fastest growing fashion brands in the UK, is Full Boy and F. Lucien's Fetamine. You might know Boha from the various fit pics he has on Instagram. He's worked with different Opium affiliates before in Gabe and Filthy, and at the start, Fetamine was very similar to Opium, incorporating elements of the aesthetic into its clothing. But as time progressed, they've been trying to make their own image, and honestly, the clothing looks really good. Fetamine's gonna be in the market for a minute, and you might see their clothes on different Opium members in the future. But one brand that actually got Opium members to model for them is Brotherly Love, which Burberry Airy and Destroy Lonely modeled for. Don't get it wrong though, it actually takes skill and creativity to make clothing. Case in point, Cardi and Opium's merch are inspired by all the people they've ever worked with. Cardi worked with legendary designers in the past. In an interview with Vanessa Sadin of XXL, Cardi stated, "My clothing line is based off of me wearing all these designer brands and having designer friends like Virgil and Matthew. I learned a lot from Bari too, Vlon. I learned a lot just sitting back watching them." Because of Opium, 2023 to 2024 saw an influx of people trying to start their own fashion brands, with others becoming highly successful in the process. But one of the biggest influences that Opium has given the underground today is its influence on music.
My whole career, they bite. Some niggas are thinking they faster than me. Somebody should tell them they dying.
There's several artists in the underground that people consider influenced by Opium. A notable pick that many fans often say takes inspiration from Opium is Osama Sun. Early on, fans would often say that he had a similar flow to Ken Carson because he had distortion in his beat. He also has several pictures interpolating the poses of Opium artists. His Osama season cover copies the cover that Cardi had for Self-Titled. And when Osama Sun colored his dreads blonde, he looked very similar to blonde Cardi. For the rollout of his recent album, Flex Music, he had an aesthetic similar to Ken Carson in A Great Chaos, with a 2000s-like setting being in there. Osama Sun also collaborates with another artist that many fans often say is a good fit for Opium, though there's also a lot of people who would disagree. This guy was just like me and you, but he took the initiative and eventually made music himself. Netspend's music might not be directly copying Opium, but he's inspired by the aesthetic and mysterious persona that the label has been producing. What you might not know is that he's been hanging around with Joy Division a lot, with Joy potentially making videos alongside Netspend. Opium's influence doesn't only extend to America though, as it's really big in Europe, even influencing a collective in Russia called Viper, which both make music just like Opium. Viper encompasses the artists 9 Mice and Kai Angel, and I'll let you be the judge of their music. They got songs produced by Filthy and have features from other Opium-inspired artists. 9 Mice often collaborates with Unique. But something that's been taking over social media recently is Cardi's voice being used for AI music. This phenomenon started all the way back in 2022. At the start, it was still noticeable that this was AI. But as AI started getting better, fans couldn't even tell if that was Cardi. One of the most notable artists behind the AI Cardi voice is Twin, even having entire music videos wearing full Rick in Paris. There's even an album called Project YVL with features from AI Travis Scott. The way that people do this is they get an AI voice changer and rap on an instrumental, mixing and mastering the audio to a preset similar to Cardi. Afterwards, they put everything together, and I'll let you be the judge. Some fans went out of their way to say the AI songs have aura, but others also say that AI Cardi is for NPCs. People are going to continue to listen to Twin's music and AI music in general in the future, as Cardi hasn't released music yet. But speaking of music, Cardi's supposedly dropping the album this year. There's some big news coming from the Opium camp, with Cardi saying he was ready to release the album. There have been multiple hints regarding the release of music, with Cardi playing some new music in Summer Smash. And as of the making of this video, Cardi's set to tour all around Europe alongside the Opium team. He also dropped a multitude of pictures on his Instagram and headlined Rolling Loud Austria with Ken and Lone performing before him. But before that, Ken just released their deluxe To A Great Chaos in A Great Chaos Deluxe, with a separate album coming in October, More Chaos. Lone's also set to drop Love Lasts Forever somewhere within the year. Unfortunately, he couldn't make the June drop date, but he's been previewing new music and he's been touring. And the tours look really good. Though one project that fans are hoping comes out is the Opium Twins tape, and it's gonna have songs like 00 Dark Side. Opium's set to do a takeover this 2024, with Ken Carson's A Great Chaos tour unfolding alongside 2 Hollis, and Cardi performing in Pattaya, Thailand this November. I'll see you there. But before that, an album has to come out first. An album that we've been waiting for almost 3 years for.